Many people are considering Obsession to be movie of the year. And I think the reason Obsession was able to blow up the way it has is very much because Obsession is very Gen Z. Like, I haven't seen a media that was that well good at portraying Gen Z since Euphoria season 1 and 2. Euphoria season 3 doesn't really get the idea of Gen Z the same way season 1 and season 2 does. But it does Obsession does such a great job at showing what it's like being Gen Z, and the horror of the movie is the toxic masculinity of Gen Z men. And it's very interesting to see because a lot of women have resonated with that movie because the horror of the movie is, this entitlement that this toxic Gen Z man who seems like a nice guy, he seems nice, but he has this entitlement over, he believes he's allowed to own this woman and her autonomy. And wait, what else was I going to say? This sort of horror, it also resonated with a lot of men, not just women, but a lot of men. I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of men saying that the movie made them question, how they view relationships, and I think that's a great thing. I think any art that you consume, it's a good thing to take from it, even if it's bad art. I'm not saying Obsession is bad, but even if the art were to be bad, it's a great thing to consume an art and take some amount from it and put it into you, whether it be into a self-reflection. And the reason Obsession was able to blow up is because it was able to connect with so many Gen Z. And I don't think we haven't seen a lot of Gen Z movie like that. I think the other best example of something that is Gen Z is really just season 1 and season 2 of Euphoria. There's probably more media out there, because I remember Boyhood. Boyhood also tried to show us. No, was it Boyhood? I forget the name of the show, which was like this British show about an incel that kills a girl. I forget the name of the show, but that show that show was not Gen Z. It was trying to portray Gen Z, but it wasn't Gen Z. It was very much from the perspective of adults trying to older adults trying to understand the generation and sort of representing the gap between the newer generation's problem and the things that the older generation are not able to grasp. And I remember there's a lot of shows that have Gen Zers in it, but do not feel Gen Z. And Obsession season 1 and season 2 of Euphoria very much are able to just show the struggles of being Gen Z, because I think a lot of problem that's affecting Gen Zers is even if it's not even if you aren't an incel, a lot of the Gen Z men have a strong entitlement to women, and they might not be aware of it. This sort of entitlement, a lot of men need to understand that coercion is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube. RAPE, coercion, sexual coercion is RAPE. So I don't know. It's amazing. I guess a lot of people are probably gonna make videos of how the movie is able to have this Gen Z aura to it, despite not being overtly Gen Z. You never see them. You barely see them on the internet, and that's another thing. It's able to be Gen Z without being the fucking stereotypical aspect of Gen Z of always seeing them on their phone doom scrolling. I think there's one moment where he's not doom scrolling; he's just stalking Nikki's page. But yes, I can't wait to see. I want to see more Gen Z movies. I could say, I mean, there was the other horror movie, Backrooms. That's a Gen Z lore, but it's not. It wasn't a Gen Z movie. I saw it. First of all, it was older people, but I want to see more Gen Z movies. I want to see more movies made by Gen Z for Gen Z, starring Gen Z, because obviously it's gonna blow up. We haven't. It's a shame. It's crazy how we haven't really seen movies like that actually grasp at the conflicts our generation are is facing right now. And those movies, when they come, they will blow up because I don't. Obsession was an amazing movie, but I think the reason it blew up, it wasn't just because it was a great story. It's because it came out at the right time. It came out at a perfect time. If Obsession came out, let's say 10 years earlier, I'm not sure it would have worked. I really don't think it would have blew. I think it would have perhaps been a cult classic, you know, regarded as this amazing horror. But I really don't think it would have blown up because I think Obsession was able to really address Gen Z. It was in the future. I think we will look back on Obsession as thinking this movie said something about Gen Z in a way that other movies are simply not able to. And I really don't. Obsession would not have worked if it was an older director doing filming that movie. Even if it was a pretty good horror movie director, it would have been a completely different story. Obsession had to be made by a Gen Z for it to work, and I don't know. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you. Bye.